Until then, take care. Here's CBS.
Come to order.
Gavel down, curtain up. The Democratic National Convention opens here as Michael Dukakis, Lloyd Bentsen, and Jesse Jackson give a picture of unity. From our convention headquarters in friendly Atlanta, this is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Opening night of the convention. Michael Dukakis and Jesse Jackson held a breakfast meeting hours before this first convention session, and they accomplished a lot. For one thing, they agreed to a show of unity. On some issues, they agreed to disagree. Jackson will have his name placed in nomination for president, but apparently will not challenge Lloyd Bentsen for vice president. Jackson's supporters most likely will challenge Dukakis tomorrow on at least 2 and possibly more platform issues. But for their respective supporters and for the cameras today, the Dukakis-Jackson emphasis was mostly smiles and handshakes, their statements upbeat.
And I want Jesse Jackson to play a major role in this campaign. I want his supporters, who are out there by the millions, to be deeply involved in this campaign. They're going to be an essential part of the coalition we build coming out of this convention.
But we made the judgment to not let our ships pass in the night, of not let our ships crash, but to combine our strengths to get the people who support us safely ashore.
More now about the give and get behind those Dukakis-Jackson statements and handshakes. First, CBS News chief political correspondent Bruce Morton.
Here's how Lloyd Bentsen broke the news to the Ohio delegation.
We're meeting with Governor Dukakis, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and we have put it all together.
What they put together first is more integration between winning and losing staffs than usually happens, something close to a joint effort for the fall campaign.
They beat us in several states, and we want those workers who beat us in particular to be on our side and win those states for the Dukakis-Bentsen ticket.
But Jackson, as he did in 1984, will also have his own staff, his own funding, his own plan for the fall campaign. As for the platform
discussions have been reinitiated. They are going on at the present time. We would expect that some minority reports will go to the floor.
Different informed sources give different numbers, but there may be as many as 4 minority planks sent to the full convention tomorrow. And the Jackson forces gained one other thing. The party rules will be changed so as to put more Jackson people on the Democratic National Committee. Jackson indicated he does not plan to fight for the vice presidency.
We have no plans to submit my name in nomination on Thursday night.
When the Dukakis-Bentsen-Jackson news conference ended, staffers who had watched anxiously applauded. Jackson kissed Susan Estrich, Dukakis' campaign manager. And at a local printing plant, they got the signal they'd been waiting for. Let those presses roll.
So it now looks as if the fat lady has sung. Michael Dukakis' convention will focus on him, not on a fight with the Jackson forces. Though these are Democrats, and things can always change. Dan?
Thanks, Bruce. Our chief Washington correspondent, Bob Schieffer, has been tracking the Jackson action today and has the latest on what it means for this convention and the campaign to come. Bob, good evening.
Dan, I think what really happened today is that Jesse Jackson and Michael Dukakis came to an understanding that while they have differences, they're not going to allow the differences to tear this convention apart. This is not going to be Chicago 1968. As the Jackson people were telling it, it was the tone that was important, not the specifics. Jackson went straight from his meeting with Dukakis to report to his delegates, and they cheered loudest when he told them closing ranks did not mean that differences would be swept under the rug. He will still push for changes in the platform.
Let no one leave here talking about let's not deal with a certain issue because we might lose on the floor.
The easy things were addressed. I think that those things on which there could not be an agreement reached, they agreed that it's healthy to have an open debate on the issue.
Jackson still wants the party to renounce first use of nuclear weapons for one thing, and a more sympathetic view of self-determination for the Palestinians, as well as a change in national budget priorities. And he promised his delegates that their concerns would be heard, that the show of unity was not a sellout of principle.
This week we'll become a different party because you're going to make it bigger. You are the heart and soul of this party. You've earned the right to be heard, and you must speak.
And late today, aides confirmed that plans are also being worked out so that Jackson will continue to be heard throughout the fall campaign as he campaigns with Dukakis and on his own for the ticket.
He will be fully involved in the strategy, the plans, and the implementation of those plans for the fall campaign.
But all of that is detail in the Jackson campaign's version of the day's events. The important thing, said Willie Brown, is that from here on, you will see a lot of Michael Dukakis, Lloyd Bentsen, and Jesse Jackson together. And as Brown was telling you today, that symbolism will tell a lot more than words. Dan?
Bob and Bruce, this is a done deal, but is it doable? What are the chances that this unity, which was real here today, can last through all the stresses and strains of the campaign?
Well, I suppose that differences are always what those who have them make of them. So if one of the other of these men decides that he wants to make it serious, I suppose he can. But one thing the Jackson people were saying today, what Jesse Jackson said today, was that he's going to meet with his delegates on Friday after the convention. There's kind of a little hook here to sort of assess what went on, and then they'll decide what to do after that.
The fact is, though, Dan, I think that Jesse Jackson and his delegates will have a lot less power on Friday when this convention is over than they do today. And if he then decides that he wants somehow to walk out and not to play, he's going to go back to being the protest leader, being Mr. Outside. I think his decision today says, I don't want to do that. I want to be a mainstream, important, front-rank Democratic leader, whether it's in 1988 or 1992 or whenever. And I think it will be hard now for him, despite whatever strains and stresses may come along, to back away from that.
And it means a great deal for other Americans who happen to be black, who have high positions. They want to move up and on. It means a great deal for them. Bruce, there was talk, Jackson himself, hard line for at least a while on having a part in the transition and having a part in government. Not much talk about that today. What happened to all that?
Well, what I'm told, what we were all told, I guess, was that in this 3-hour or so meeting with the candidates and their chief advisors, that all the talk about after the election was principle, along the general lines of, if we've gotten along well during the fall, of course you'll be a part of the transition, but no specifics about that.
Bob, any chance any of these platform fights will amount to anything?
I think they're going to be lively. I think that there'll be a lot of attention on them. I think we'll be talking about them a lot. In the end, I think that they will not be. I think that the purpose of this for Jesse Jackson and his people is for them to be heard and for these concerns to be expressed. There will be some changes along the way. I don't think the platform will be a great deal different, Dan, than what we think we know about it right now.
Bob and Bruce, thanks. Look forward to working with you through this evening, through the week. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News. The Iran-Iraq war may finally be ending. The long-awaited Meese investigation report is made public, and it's tough. And later, a look at the legacy of the Days of Rage in Chicago.
Looks like a hungry group this morning.
You bet.
Good, because to stack up to the vitamins in one bowl of Total, it takes almost 3 bowls of Special K.
Trudy, I'll have the grape nuts.
Takes 4 bowls of that.
Watch this. Shredded wheat.
12 bowls.
Good, Delaney. Separate checks, please.
With 1 bowl of Total, you get 100% of 9 vitamins and iron, and it's the only cereal that's a major source of calcium.
We always love the stuff.
Total, a stack of nutrition in just 1 bowl.
This all-new Cutlass Supreme is without a doubt the hottest Cutlass ever built. The Washington Post called it a rolling, happy seduction. Car and Driver said wow. And Auto Week hailed it as a worthy successor to a proud name. And now Oldsmobile is making it possible for your Olds dealer to pass along savings of up to $775 on select new Cutlass Supremes equipped with air conditioning.
Now for indigestion, gas. Introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
What's the best kind of fruit? The kind that's fresh, moist, and plump. That's why Sunsweet are my favorite kind of pitted prunes. Moist, plump, and fresh. Sunsweet, because the best prunes are fresh prunes.
A sudden break today in the Persian Gulf conflict With the tide of war turning against Iran, the Iranians said they will accept a UN ceasefire resolution aimed at ending the conflict. UN Secretary General Perez de Cuellar said Iran attached no conditions to its acceptance. He said he would immediately begin talking to both sides to put the ceasefire into effect. Iraq said it was still suspicious of Iran, and the United States reacted cautiously. A spokesman for President Reagan said it isn't clear yet what Iran's intentions are. From London, Anthony Mason has our report.
This morning, the UN Secretary General could at last grip in his hands something which had eluded him for years, an Iranian proposal for peace.
It is a real peace plan. If it is fully implemented, I think it means the end of the conflict.
In nearly 8 years of fighting, perhaps 1 million lives have been lost. Until now, Iran refused the UN ceasefire terms unless Iraq was first blamed as the aggressor. But in recent months, the war began to turn. On all fronts, Iranian forces have been beaten back. Iran's capital city, Tehran, has been battered by Iraqi missiles. Thousands have fled the city or moved underground, making their homes on blankets in government parking garages. You could see it in their faces. The fire had died. The Iranians were weary of war.
They have realized that the military victory is not in sight. And now they are willing to give the moderates a chance to achieve a diplomatic victory.
On Iranian TV tonight, military chief Rafsanjani said Ayatollah Khomeini personally approved the peace plan. Though the war has turned in their favor, the Iraqis are tired too. Saturday night, President Saddam Hussein asked his adversaries to accept a ceasefire. No one would welcome that more than the United States Navy, which has spent a troubled year trying to keep the peace in the Gulf.
We have always said that as hostilities end and as the war ends, we're willing to consider withdrawal.
U.S. officials were surprised by what one called Iran's sudden outbreak of sanity. With a little luck, said the Secretary General, there could be a ceasefire within a week. Anthony Mason, CBS News, London.
On Iranian TV tonight, military chief Rafsanjani said the downing of Iran's airliner by the U.S. Navy was the key event that made Iran decide to settle the war. He said the incident was, and I quote now, America's declaration that it might commit huge crimes if Iran continued the war, unquote. In Washington, the independent special prosecutor's 800-page report out today on U.S. Attorney General Ed Meese. Conclusion, Meese probably broke a criminal conflict of interest law and 2 tax laws, but apparently Meese won't be prosecuted. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver has more on what the special prosecutor found.
The 814-page report stopped short of calling for criminal prosecution of the Attorney General, but just barely.
We concluded that criminal law violations probably occurred. However, in the exercise of my prosecutorial discretion, I have decided that we will not prosecute Mr. Meese for those probable violations.
McKay said that Meese probably broke the law by participating in decisions involving regional telephone companies at the same time he owned stock in those companies. But McKay said Meese was not indicted because he lacked criminal intent. McKay also said that Meese probably could be prosecuted for failing to disclose the sale of securities on his 1985 federal tax return and for willfully failing to pay his income tax when due. But McKay said that he did not bring criminal charges because the incidents were isolated, not part of a pattern.
It all came down really to the question, if this were an ordinary person, would he be prosecuted? And we concluded that he probably would not.
Nevertheless, the Attorney General was outraged that McKay disclosed the possible criminal violations.
No responsible prosecutor would ever get away with doing what's happened here, of saying there's no basis for prosecution, we're not going to prosecute, and then go out in public and say, but the guy committed this offense.
Still, McKay was gentle in evaluating the Attorney General's most publicized problem, his help for clients of longtime friend E. Bob Wallach. McKay did suggest that Meese could have been more sensitive, but found no evidence of criminal wrongdoing in Meese's involvement with the WedTech defense contractor or with a proposed Iraqi oil pipeline. Meese could still face a Justice Department investigation for non-criminal ethics violations. But meanwhile, since he was not indicted, he's now entitled to ask the taxpayers to pick up his legal bill for more than $250,000. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Justice Department.
Coast Guard officials today said a Navy helicopter carrying 8 crew members on a mine detection exercise exploded over the sea near San Francisco, and rescuers do not expect to find survivors. He said rescuers searching the area west of the Golden Gate Bridge found 7 flight helmets bobbing on the water. Cause of the Navy helicopter blast not immediately known.
With low back pain, walking can be agony, where every step shoots pain. Up here, you know what helps? New back guard.
Clinically proven back guard is a shoe insert for low back pain aggravated by foot shock. Back guard with its shock trapper module relieves this low back pain. Watch how it helps absorb shock upon impact to reduce the shock to your back.
Amazing. Something down here can help up here.
New back guard from Dr. Scholl's. Absorb shock all day to help keep back pain away.
They say men get better with age, and women just age. Oh, really?
Oil of Olay.
Men get character lines, women get wrinkles. Oh, really?
Created to penetrate quickly, lessen the look of lines.
Only men get sexier. Oh, really?
Created to fight dryness, silken, like your skin's youthful fluid.
I don't intend to grow old gracefully.
Oil of Olay.
I'm fighting it every step of the way. Really.
Into the land of heartburn comes the first liquid antacid without that liquid antacid taste. A really good tasting liquid that puts out heartburn's fire. New Tums Liquid. It works. It really tastes good.
Caffrey toothpaste decaffeinates your smile.
Coffee and tea can stain your smile, like they stain your cup.
Caffrey gets out coffee and tea stains better than the leading toothpaste. Caffrey toothpaste or Minty Gel. Caffrey decaffeinates your smile.
Today's Dukakis-Jackson breakfast meeting was an effort to achieve unity, and as we said, in many important ways, it succeeded. But no one here is kidding themselves. Among the delegates, there are disagreements about such things as party platform issues. Floor correspondent Leslie Stahl has more now about the delegates and the platform tightrope that they're walking. Leslie?
Dan, the delegates, Dukakis' delegates in states like New York are aiming for the same delicate balance that their candidate is, trying not to look as though they're appeasing the Jackson forces so much that they scare off their other big target, conservative Democrats.
There's a lot of people like me who are Democrats who are not liberal.
Dukakis cannot appear to be caving in to Jesse Jackson or being a tool or a hostage of any one segment of the party.
The risk is that he looks like a flaming liberal to the rest of the country.
Putting his arm around Jesse Jackson won't hurt. Taking Jesse Jackson's platform wholesale will hurt. That's the tightrope you have to walk.
But the platform, even without Jackson's minority planks, tilts unmistakably to the left. Already in the text, a commitment to gay rights and federal funding for abortion. The delegates are keenly aware that as a bunch, they also tilt to the left. A CBS News survey found 43% describe themselves as liberal, only 5% as conservative. This is hardly reflective of Democrats nationally, where conservatives run ahead. On issues, for example, the delegates overwhelmingly oppose school prayer. Democrats as a whole feel just the opposite.
Of course, this convention is more liberal than the Democratic Party because activists are more liberal than non-activists.
Most of the delegates may favor the minority platform proposals to tax the rich and freeze defense spending. But the Dukakis camp says the delegates will vote against their own personal leanings.
I would expect, based on all of our contact with the delegates, that we'd be supported on any vote.
I don't think that we have a suicidal convention here. We're not going to be engaged in a kamikaze mission. These are people who have basically come here to win.
I hope so. Otherwise, we won't win. I hope we win.
Many of the delegates say that no matter what happens on the platform, this convention will not come across as too liberal because they say they have the ultimate weapon, a Texas six-shooter, Lloyd Benson. Dan?
Thanks, Leslie. And I'll be back in a moment.
These little things are like snowflakes.
Boy, this crunch is loud. I thought I heard you say these little things are like snowflakes.
I did.
I thought my Great Mutt cereal was nutty.
Look, what do you see?
A woman playing with her food.
No two look the same.
You're right. They're all different.
They're all natural.
Like snowflakes.
Boy, this crunch is loud. I thought I heard you say these little things are like snowflakes.
Post Grape Mud cereal, the one and only.
For all your pet means to you, shouldn't you give him and your family protection against fleas and ticks? You can with a 2-in-1 flea and tick collar from Hearts, the collar that's been protecting your pet for years. And the Hearts 2-in-1 collar kills fleas and ticks on your dog or cat for up to 5 months. It even works when wet. So get the collar that really works, because no pet should go anywhere without Hearts protection. The Hearts 2-in-1 collar, protection against fleas and ticks.
New Supercol Mint kills plaque germs. But how does it taste? Supercol Mint fights plaque buildup.
But how does it taste?
Plaque fighting, Supercol Mint.
But how does it taste?
Tastes great.
Like my mouth took a shower.
Refreshing.
A mint that lasts.
The best tasting way we know to fight plaque.
Atlanta, 1988. Chicago, 1968. A generation apart, but connected. The legacy of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago 20 years ago is still felt in the Democratic Party, in some of the people and issues here, and in America at large. 1968, a year of protests, resistance, violence, and change. From the hot summer in the nation's cities, to the deadly jungle of Vietnam, to the days of rage inside and outside the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. And the whole world was watching.
I have a beautiful view of the earth here all in one. I'll try to get a picture for you.
Oh, say,
I welcome you to a great city.
can you see?
Will the convention be in order?
It is time for us to wake up, America.
There goes more tear gas. There goes a wave of it. The people are engulfed by the tear gas.
It was not just Chicago, although Chicago was the symbol. Those of us who were anti-war, vigorously, seriously anti-war, did not have a political party that we could turn to between 64 and 68. We felt locked out. If there was one moment that captured it all, it was the moment on the night of the 28th when, after many hours of beatings and clubbings and gas, the demonstrators locked their arms and they were chanting all of a sudden, "The whole world is watching, the whole world is watching."
The marching feet of youth have led us into a new era of politics, and we can never turn back.
In '68, you had another convention that was outside, and somehow, when presented on the screen, it appeared as though it was one convention.
I think one thing that we learned is that you can't divorce the decisions that are going on inside the convention hall from strong prevailing views on the outside. If we were going to keep these activists, particularly the young people, and to a certain extent the women, the blacks, the Spanish Americans and others in the Democratic Party, we had to give them a voice in the selection of the presidential nominee.
And with George McGovern as President of the United States, we wouldn't have to have Gestapo tactics in the streets of Chicago.
After 1968, I had so little hope. I was not prepared to see the party reform itself so rapidly between 1968 and 1972.
This convention must say to blacks and young people and Latin and women that the convention is open.
People who had been on the outside suddenly were on the inside. The delegates were not so much hand-picked from the top. They were chosen in caucuses and in primaries among activists and average voters. That made a big difference.
In 1988, I think we've got a convention that is far more representative. It may not be perfect, and I welcome some of the rules changes that this convention will adopt, but the overwhelming majority of these delegates reflect the wishes, the wills, the values, the aspirations of the Democratic voters in primaries and caucuses.
Diversity is an essential part of democracy. The Republicans seem to relish on the fact that they don't have any diversity. It's just flags draped and balloons flying all over the place and everyone's cheering each other. But I would prefer to show the people of the United States democracy in action. I would prefer to have people vying for positions instead of having a coronation.
Will the Sergeant at Arms enforce order in the convention?
Now, if you have a convention where everything is contested, if you have fights on credentials, you have fights on rules, and then you continue arguing on platform, I think people may rear back and say, wait a minute, if those people are not competent to manage their own affairs, then how can they manage ours? And that's a legitimate question. I think we've got to meet it.
Hazardous as it is, from my perspective, is just a lot more interesting and more fun to be a Democrat and to be a part of this quarreling, diverse party that we call the Democratic Party.
Give me the opportunity to fight my battle. I don't want you to cover it up and sweep it under the rug just for the sake of having a smooth convention.
The major issues are the budget deficit, the trade deficit.
I think we're all concerned with the same thing, Contra, South America.
We really believe that AIDS is the #1 issue.
Education is #1.
The issue of income security.
We're asking these parties to hear us. And if they don't, we'll just have to speak more loudly.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Never!
United will never be defeated.
Never!
United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Until our special coverage of Night 1 of this year's Democratic National Convention with Walter Cronkite and Eric Severide starting at 9 Eastern Time. Dan Rather, see you soon.
You asleep?
No.
Thinking about the house?
Yes.
Sure we can afford it?
No.
Uptight?
Yes.
Buying a home can make you a little uneasy when you don't know what to expect. But if you get the new Best Buyer Guidebook from Coldwell Banker, we'll take you through every step, from finding a home to financing it. So don't get left in the dark.
Is it going to be okay?
Call Coldwell Banker and expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Honey, great news. I don't need surgery for my hemorrhoids. The doctor said they're not that serious.
Well, what did he say?
He told me to eat right, get some exercise, and when they act up, use Preparation H.
Thousands of doctors distribute this hemorrhoidal care guide from the makers of Preparation H. It advises a fiber-rich diet, exercise, and for flare-ups, try Preparation H to help shrink swelling of hemorrhoidal tissue and often provide temporary relief of pain and itch.
Aren't you glad you didn't need surgery?
Doctor recommended Preparation H.
Claude Akins. Love your Polygrip ads, but I use a powder adhesive for my dentures.
Then try this. New Super Polygrip Powder. One use holds up to 12 full hours. Get new Super Polygrip Powder with 12-hour holding power.
Heartburn?
Oh, I'm dying.
You're not dying.
You can die from a meatball hero.
Better take my Riopan Plus 2.
Riopan Plus 2 starts neutralizing acid in 10 seconds.
Oh, look who's feeling better.
I'm not dying.
Riopan Plus 2, the fast antacid. This?
Coming up on Eyewitness News, two key political players call a truce in Atlanta, declaring victory for the Democratic Party. Chris Clark will bring us a live report.
We'll tell you about a move by the mayor to expand Nashville's auto emissions testing to neighboring counties. And how much is a life worth?
Those stories next on Eyewitness News.
Let Medline connect you with a healthcare professional to suit your needs. Call Medline 340-1919, a free doctor referral service brought to you by the Nashville area's HCA-affiliated hospitals.